So this morning we get to dive into the nectar of the Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto. Oh, so everything's lined up. So this is a wonderful part establishing why Srimad Bhagavatam is going to be narrated for the benefit of everyone. And there's this verse we're reading today is an introductory verse to one that Prabhupada used to quote a lot, which I think, is it okay to read two verses?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. I've got the okay here. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So, Canto 1. Ooh, things can happen here. So, Canto 1, Chapter 1, Text number 9. Tatra tantram jasyusyuman tatra tatran jasayusman tatra tatran jasayusman bhavataya vinishchitam Samsitam
Bhavataya Vinishitam
Pungsam Ekantata Shreyas
Pungsam Ekantata Shreyas
Pungsam Ekantata Shreyas
Pungsam Ekantata Shreyas
Tanna Samsitam Arhasi
Tanna Samsitam Arhasi
Tanna Samsitam Arhasi
Tanna Samsitam Arhasi
Tatra Tantram Jasa Yusman
Tatra Tatra Jasa Yusman
Bhavataya Vinishchitam
Bhavataya Vinishitam
Pungsam Ekantata Shreyas
Pungsam Ekantata Shreyas
Tanna Samsitam Arhasi
Tanna Samsitam Arhasi
Tatra Tantram Jasha Yushman
Tatra Tatra Jasa Yushman
Bhavataya Vinishchitam
Bhavataya Vinishitam
Pungsam Ekantata Shreyas
Pungsam Ekantata Shreyas
Tanna Samsitam Arhasi
Tanna Samsitam Arhasi.
Anybody going to try?
Tatra
Tat-
Tatranja Yushman
Tatra Tatra Jasa Yushman
Bhavataya Vinishitam
Bhavataya Vinishitam
Pungsam Ekantata Shreyas
Pungsam Ekantata Shreyas
Tanna Samsitam Arhasi
Tanna Samsitam Arhasi
Tatra Tatram Jasa Yushman
Tatra Tatra Jasa Yushman
Bhavataya Vinishitam
Bhavataya Vinishitam
Pumsam Ekatata Shreya
Pungsam Ekantata Shreyas
Tanan Shamsitu Harashi
Tanna Samsitum Arhasi
Tatra Tatraya Yushman
Tatra Tatra Jasa Yushman
Bhavataya Vinishitam
Bhavataya Vinishitam
Pungsam Ekantata Shreyas
Pungsam Ekantata Shreyas
Tanna Samsitam Arhasi
Tanna Samsitum Arhasi.
Ladies?
Tatra Tatra Jasa Yushman Bhavataya Vinishitam Pungsam Ekantata Shreyas Tanna Samsitum Arhasi. Tatra Tatra Jasa Yushman Bhavataya Vinishitam Pungsam Ekantata Shreyas Tanna Samsitum Arhasi.
So, Tatra,
Tatra
thereof. Tatra, thereof. Anjasa, made easy. Ayushman, blessed with a long duration of life. Bhavata, by your good self. Yat, whatever. Vinishchitam, ascertained. Pungsam, for the people in general. Ekantata, absolutely. Shreya, ultimate good. Tat, that. Na, to us. Samsitam,
Samsitam
to explain.
Explain
Arhasi,
Arhasi
deserve.
Deserve.
Translation purport by Srila Prabhupada. Please therefore, being blessed with many years, explain to us in an easily understandable way what you have ascertained to be the absolute and ultimate good for the people in general. Responsively. Please, therefore being blessed with many years, explain to us
Explain to us
in an easily understandable way what you have ascertained
what you ascertain
to be the absolute and ultimate good
to be the absolute and ultimate good
for the people in general.
For the people in general.
Srila Prabhupada's purport. In Bhagavad Gita, the worship of the Acharya is recommended. The Acharyas and Goswamis are always absorbed in thought of the well-being of the general public, especially their spiritual well-being. Spiritual well-being is automatically followed by material well-being. The Acharyas, therefore, give directions in spiritual well-being for people in general. Foreseeing the incompetencies of the people in the age of Kali, or the Iron Age of quarrel, the sages requested that Sutta Goswami give a summary of all revealed scriptures, because the people of this age are condemned in every respect. The sages therefore inquired of the absolute good, which is the ultimate good for the people. The condemned state of affairs of the people in this age is described as follows. So, Sutta Goswami heard directly from Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva is the compiler of the Vedic literatures, all of the 4 Vedas, everything. So he became accepted by all of the sages at Naimisharanya, thousands of sages, and they requested him to sit on the Vyasasana, the seat of Vyas, to deliver something which they could easily understand. The Vedas are very complex, and they're very, very hard, very specifically for people in Kali Yuga, to understand. They're given in short verses which are packed with meaning, but very difficult for us Kali Yugites to unpack. So therefore they were feeling, we have to, for the good of everyone, we have to explain this in a very easily understandable way. And you'll hear in the next verse exactly why that's required. I'll just quickly read the Sanskrit. Prayena pashriya sabhya kalavasmin yuge jana manda sumanda matayo. Prabhupada used to quote this a lot. Manda bhagya upadraha. O learned one, in this age, Iron Age of Kali, men have but short lives. They are quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all, always disturbed. That's us. Prabhupada's purport. The devotees of the Lord are always anxious for the spiritual improvement of the general public. When the sages of Naimisharanya analysed the state of affairs of the people in the age of Kali, they foresaw that men would live short lives. In Kali Yuga, the duration of life is shortened, not so much because of insufficient food, but because of irregular habits. By keeping regular habits and eating simple food, any man can maintain his health. Overeating, over-sense gratification, over-dependence on another's mercy, and artificial standards of living sap the very vitality of human energy. Therefore, the duration of life is shortened. The people of this stage are also very lazy, not only materially, but in the matter of self-realization. The human life is especially meant for self-realization. That is to say, men should come to know what he is, what the world is, and what the supreme truth is. Human life is a struggle by which the living entity can end all miseries of the hard struggle for life in material existence, and by which he can return to Godhead, his eternal home. But, due to a bad system of education, men have no desire for self-realization. Even if they come to know about it, they unfortunately become victims of misguided teachers. In this age, men are victims not only of different political creeds and parties, but also of many different types of sense gratificatory diversions, such as cinemas, sports, gambling, clubs, mundane libraries, bad association, smoking, drinking, cheating, pilfering, bickering. The list is very long. And so on. Their minds are always disturbed and full of anxieties due to so many different engagements. In this age, many unscrupulous men manufacture their own religious faiths, which are not based on any revealed scripture, and very often people who are addicted to sense gratification are attracted by such institutions. Consequently, in the name of religion, so many sinful acts are being carried are being carried on that the people in general have neither peace of mind nor health of body. The student, brahmachari, communities are no longer being maintained, and householders do not observe the rules and regulations of the grihastha ashram. Consequently, the so-called vanaprasthas and sannyasis who come out of such grihastha ashrams are easily deviated from the rigid path. In the Kali Yuga, the whole atmosphere is surcharged with faithlessness. Men are no longer interested in spiritual values. Material sense gratification is now the standard of civilization. For the maintenance of such material civilization, man has formed complex nations and communities, and there is a constant strain of hot and cold wars between these different groups. It has become very difficult, therefore, to raise the spiritual standard due to the present distorted values of human society. The sages and Naimisharanya are anxious to disentangle all fallen souls, and here they are seeking a remedy from Srila Sutta Goswami. So this is a message to all of us. In previous yugas, Satya Yuga, the method of self-realization, 10,000 years of meditation on Narayan. Can you imagine if Srila Prabhupada had come and said, okay, Prabhus, now we're going to do 10,000 years of meditation. How many people would have come forward and said, I'll try that. We are so sunk in this maya of Kali Yuga, it's very, very, very difficult to extract ourselves. But of course we all know that the incredible benefit of Kali Yuga is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gaura Nitai. Because their compassion for the fallen conditioned souls is such that they have come to infuse us with a feeling of love of God. It's explained that when Lord Chaitanya toured, because yesterday was Gopal Bhatta's disappearance day, he was from the south of India, and Lord Chaitanya would tour. And anybody that met Lord Chaitanya experienced love of God. And anybody that met someone that had met Lord Chaitanya, they also experienced love of God. And anybody that met the person and met the person and met the person who met Lord Chaitanya would also experience. So it's like contagious. We had that disease recently, COVID, and everyone was very scared. Oh, it's so contagious, you can't go anywhere near anyone. It's the same thing with Krishna consciousness. When you experience real Krishna consciousness, it's so wonderful. People can't deny it. Often, you may have heard this, sometimes when we make prasadam and we offer it to people, offer it to Krishna and then offer it to people, they taste it, oh, this is so wonderful, this is so delightful. I'm going to make this at home. I'm going to cook up whatever you're cooking at home. And they do that because they're new, they're inexperienced, they may not understand the whole process of offering to Krishna. And they come back and think, I followed that recipe, but it wasn't the same. I tried it, but it was, you're not giving the whole recipe. You're putting something in there that, you're not telling people about. What is that? And then we can begin to explain. Actually, we are taking all of the wonderful things that Krishna has given us. They're his, he's the supreme proprietor, and we're saying, Krishna, thank you so much, for giving this wonderful stuff. And we're offering it naturally back to him. Saga, Gaura Nitai, Govinda Madhava, Nitai, Krishna Balaram, Giriraj Maharaj, Ki Jai. So this is our secret. Krishna says, Raja Vidya, Raja Guyam. It's Raja Vidya, it's the topmost knowledge, and it's Raja Guyam. Guyam means secret. It's a great secret. I mean, how many people are in France?
68 million.
68 million people. And here, listening to the Srimad Bhagavatam, there's maybe 30 people. So just see, it's such a secret, but it's a secret that we want to share. Just like we love to share prasad, we also want to share the ecstasy, the nectar of Krishna consciousness. Because this is what the sages wanted. This is what Srila Prabhupada came. Often people wondered about Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada, why did you wait until you were 69, 70 years old before you came? We really could have done with you a lot earlier. Prabhupada said, I had to prepare. To come to this place with all of the distractions, you heard the long list and the sad situation of people. Prabhupada had to chant for years and years and years, preparing himself, living in Vrindavan, Radha Damodar temple, and praying to the Goswamis, please give me your mercy so that I can come fulfill the mission of my spiritual master. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati requested him, you please, fulfilling the prediction of the great sages that Lord Chaitanya's movement would spread around the world, every town and village. I don't know how many villages there are, you're an expert in these things. How many villages are there? There's
36,000 in France.
36,000, thank you, Prabhu. 36,000. So in every village, Lord Chaitanya, he's the chanting of the Maha Mantra and his message will be heard. I wonder how many places we've already visited. There was one devotee in England, he heard this message and he immediately got on his bicycle. And behind his bicycle he had a little thing to carry, a tent. And he said, because there are many small, tiny villages, I mean, not just a small, in English we call them hamlets. They're not even really a village. There's tiny, tiny places. Amul. Tiny places, a few people. But he said, we have to go. We have to visit all these people. Because you may think, well, actually, how will anybody hear this message? How will millions of people, if Lord Chaitanya is saying, every town and village, how is that possible? But it is with determination. That's the mood of the devotee. That's the mood of Srila Prabhupada, to deliver this for the benefit of everyone. So, let's look at those people in Kali Yuga that Srila Prabhupada was coming to visit. Short lives, quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all, always disturbed. So, it's incredible, Srila Prabhupada, one request he had is that we should all work together. We should cooperate. This is almost the most difficult thing. Prabhupada said, if you can get 3 people to agree, you can change the world. That's how difficult it is to get 3 people to agree on almost anything. Because we all have our ego, we have our opinion. We should do it like this. Oh, I think you should do it like that. Or some of us says, oh, no, that's not a good idea. I'll do it like that. And therefore we come to this situation where it's very difficult to cooperate. And yet this is the most pleasing thing for Srila Prabhupada, to see that we're all cooperating nicely to propagate Krishna consciousness. So when we think where we are and what Lord Chaitanya offered, because we're so deeply stuck in the illusion that he had to provide the topmost thing. I was talking to one devotee here, and he was saying that you have a digging machine to dig holes. He said, but we needed to dig a really big hole. So we needed a really big machine. Little machine, not going to be sufficient to do that. Needs a really powerful machine. So Lord Chaitanya came with the most powerful thing. Lord explained that the investing of all of Krishna's energy is present in the holy name of the Lord. And this is the big machine. This is the thing that can pull us out of our maya of Krishna consciousness and inconceivably make us understand that it is possible. It is possible to meet Krishna face to face. This is Srila Prabhupada's promise, that if you chant purely, avoiding the 10 offences, then you will get the opportunity to meet Krishna face to face. I mean, we can see how beautiful Radha Govinda Madhava, but how amazing, how incredible would it be to be embraced by the Supreme Lord. So, when I was a very new devotee, I hadn't heard very much about Krishna consciousness. But I had heard in one lecture, of course we hear the 10 offences, we have to be very careful, but then someone said, actually, the Panchatattva mantra is more powerful than the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, because Lord Chaitanya, understanding our situation, doesn't accept offences. Worshipping Radha Krishna, chanting Hare Krishna, we have to be very careful. There's so many aparadhs we can make to the devotees we hear. Dharma parad, there's so many Nama parad, there's so many different dangers that we have to navigate through. But then I heard, Panchatattva Maha Mantra is more powerful. And I was thinking, because Lord Chaitanya's Namo Mahavadanyaya, Krishna Prema Pradayate, he's the most munificent and he's come to deliver love for Krishna. And I was thinking, my Western mind was thinking, who's more merciful than Lord Chaitanya? Because Lord Chaitanya arrived in Navadvip and he went to Jagannath Puri, he toured all over India, but he didn't come to the Western countries, he stayed in India. And I was thinking, actually, Srila Prabhupada was even more merciful than Lord Chaitanya. And I began to think, because Western minds full of nonsense, I began to think, actually, I should chant on my japa, Jai Prabhupada, because I wanted to get the mercy. And I knew that Prabhupada was the most merciful. And I thought, I thought it was a really good idea. I'm really going to get the mercy. I mean, Western minds are always looking for the quick version. I wanted to get some nectar like quickly. So I thought I better present this new idea to Prabhupada, this fantastic, brilliant plan that I had. So I went to Srila Prabhupada and I said, Prabhupada, I heard that the Panchatattva Maha Mantra is even more powerful than the Maha Mantra. And Prabhupada said, yes, that is true. And I said, but Prabhupada, you're even more merciful than Lord Chaitanya. So therefore, I just want to chant Jai Prabhupada on my Japamala. And Prabhupada looked at me like the fool I was and said, have I asked you to do that? And I said, no, Srila Prabhupada. He said, we chant the Maha Mantra, even though the Panchatattva Mantra is more powerful. We chant the Maha Mantra because Lord Chaitanya asked it to. So that's the key. We follow the instruction of the spiritual master. We don't make stuff up. So Srila Prabhupada was very kind in correcting me from my aspiration to follow his instruction. So this is, we heard yesterday, the key is to please and follow the instruction of the spiritual master, not make stuff up. I mean, of course, there's innovation. We can think up ways to please Krishna. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, previously, sannyasis only walked from place to place. Brahmacharis and sannyasis always walked. And Bhaktisiddhanta said, actually, I think we should use motorbikes. That would be a great, get the sannyasis on the motorbike, then get to place faster and faster. And devotees were shocked. Sannyasi on a motorbike? This is like completely insane. Huh? And this with Srila Prabhupada. Sannyasis don't cross water. So did Prabhupada say, oh, that's it, I'm in India, I cannot go anywhere. He said, no, to deliver the message. Prabhupada gave so many instructions, inconceivable to most of us, how to go and preach, and how the presentation of Lord Chaitanya's message for the good of people in general is the most important thing. One of my godbrothers, Srila Prabhupada, asked him to go to Russia and preach. He said, this is fantastic. Prabhupada used to call it Rishya, the place of rishis. Not Russia, but Rishya. He said, you'll go, it would be a fantastic thing. And they said, but you see, he countered Prabhupada. There's nothing to eat there. They all eat meat and drink liquor. This is their, if you're going to eat meat, you need liquor to get the things working. And Prabhupada said, well, eat meat, but preach. That's inconceivable for most of us, isn't it? To do such a thing. So therefore, just see what is for the best thing that you can do. What is the best thing? Cooperate to push on Krishna consciousness movement. I was hearing the story of New Mayapur recently. Incredible story. We bought it, then we lost it, then we rebought it, and just see how determined the devotees were, living without electricity, living without hot water, in such a challenging situation, but so determined to hang on, hanging on to the rope of Krishna consciousness, and somehow or other, gradually, and At one point, 10,000 people were coming, visiting. Elephants walking around the place. I mean, incredible things. And here we are now on the second opportunity to present Krishna consciousness in this beautiful environment, living in a palace chateau. Palace chateau, it's almost the same. Living here in this wonderful environment, and Krishna's giving us everything. Of course, we have to participate. You know, we're lazy. Sometimes we hear devotees don't like hard work. We are mainly coming from cities. Therefore, when someone says, actually, you know, go and grow some potatoes, we have no clue, don't know what to do, have no idea. So it's very challenging for us. But we will, devotees, do the needful. Prabhupada, this very common phrase that Srila Prabhupada used, do the needful. We in Kali Yuga, everyone is, and certainly us, we're less than Shudras. We've just heard how we are. So, but we can participate in Lord Chaitanya's movement by adopting different things, whatever it may be. We do the needful. So we may be saying, can you please worship the deity? I mean, you know, it's inconceivable that people coming from our background could worship the deity. I have to say also, for many years, there were no women allowed. You know, in India, it was inconceivable to allow women on the altar. Not at all accepted. But Srila Prabhupada accepted, actually, you have to engage everyone. And the same thing with so many different things. Whether we're worshipping the deity, serving the spiritual master, we are absolutely unqualified in so many ways. And yet, through that compassion and kindness, he's accepting our service, accepting the service that we can do, however imperfect. When we read the scriptures about great devotees, some of the service they had to do to please their spiritual master was go and get the pot of water from the Ganga. That was their service. It doesn't mean you have to become a big leader or a manager or in charge of this or in charge of that. Even if you can do something simple thing, that will be accepted by Krishna. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, it's better to do your own service imperfectly than do at the service of another. Krishna's understanding, because there were Vaishyas, Kshatriyas, Shudras, Brahmanas, different divisions, but we're not in that position now. We're all just one lump of unqualified people who are desperately trying to understand what it means and have somehow or other become attracted to Krishna. When Krishna means all attractive, not surprising that we're attracted, but the fact is from our position being sunk in the depths of Maya to come to a position where we're even slightly attracted, whatever it may be. Lots of devotees are attracted to prasad. The first time I came to the temple, I walked in the temple and Srila Prabhupada was chanting from his record, and a devotee came to me and he held out a peanut. It was a peanut. Yeah. And he said to me, I just walked in the door, I didn't know anything about Krishna consciousness. And he said, this peanut is non-different from Krishna. And he gave me the peanut. And I said, what do I do with it? You know, this is inconceivable. He said, you eat it. And I was slightly concerned. I thought, if I'm going to eat this peanut, which is non-different from Krishna, what will happen? Of course, it's the end of my material life. That's it. Material life's finished. Once you've taken that step. And I very bravely took the peanut and ate the peanut. And I said to the devotee, what happens now? He said, you have to chant Hare Krishna. So, okay. So they gave me a big bowl of beads and some string, and he said, you tie each knot, and then you chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So off I started, Hare Krishna. Next one, Hare Krishna. Then one devotee came into the room, I was sitting there. He said, before we eat, we sing. And I thought, oh, that's really nice, nice thing. So he said, well, we'll go into the prasadam room. So I went into the prasadam room. You have to remember, I'd been in the temple now about half an hour. And I had long hair, had a beard, and I walked in the prasadam room, and there was another, I saw a person that was like looking in the mirror. I mean, that's, you know, in those days, having long hair and a beard, you know, that wasn't so uncommon. And in my confused state, I thought, this is my soul. That the reason I've come to the temple is because my soul is here. And I've come to reunite with my soul. This was the misunderstanding. So it's sort of true, but not in the way that I understood at that time. And so they started chanting, and this other person started to dance ecstatically. He'd been in the temple like 2 days. So he started dancing ecstatically. And I thought, my soul is so ecstatic here. No wonder I had to come here. And I went and embraced him. And I said, oh, I'm so happy that we're together now. And he was like, my name's Stan, and I'm an engineer. And I thought, oh, okay. Slight misunderstanding of the situation there. But yeah, so that was my first day in the temple. And then very shortly after that, somebody said, have you thought about going to India? Oh no, actually I want to say one thing, because I said, I didn't realise that you could stay in the temple. I thought you came, and they gave you a book or something, and they told you, do this or do that. And then you'd go home and you'd do that. And they said, oh, you know, are you going to stay tonight? And I said, you can stay? This is incredible. So I went up into the Brahmachari ashram, and there was a devotee there, a very wonderful devotee. And he said to me, we get up at 2 a.m. in the morning, and then we chant 16 rounds, and then we serve all day. You know, and then in the evening, then we come back to the temple, have a glass of hot milk, we go to bed. And I thought, wow, this is incredible. You know, I'm definitely going to try that. So I got up at 2, and I was chanting on my big beads, and went down and washed the pots, and then I was, you know, they said, what can you do? I said, what can I look after the cows? And then, oh yes, we've got a cow, you can go and do that. And I thought, this is incredible. So there was just everything that I ever wanted was there. Just incredible. And then a little while later, one devotee came and said, have you ever thought about going to India? And I said, well, no. You know, I'm just here, and it's really, really, really nice. And I really like it. I don't want to go anywhere. I didn't think Krishna consciousness was geographic. I thought it was internal. It was my soul was just enjoying it. I didn't have to go anywhere to do that. And he said to me, well, here you read about Krishna in the Bhagavatam, Krishna book. But if you go to India, then you'll see Krishna's footprints in the dust of Braj. You can jump off the same tree that Krishna went and fought with Kaliya, serpent. You'll see the clothes of the gopis hanging where Krishna's bathing and where he's capturing the hearts of the gopis. You can go to Davanala Kund, where Krishna swallowed the forest fire. You'll be with Krishna. I thought, well, that sounds incredible. This I've got to do. So he said, okay, you should immediately come with me, because we're going to drive to India. And we're going to go to Vrindavan. And I said, let's go. He said, do you have a passport? I said, yes. He said, go and get your passport, jump in the van, don't tell the temple president. Because who was going to milk the cow? Who was going to wash the pots? Anyway, we're going to India. So we jumped in the van. 10 minutes later, I'm jumping in the van, and we drove to Schloss Rettershof, and then there were some 2 big buses, lots of devotees, and then we drove over land to India. Oh, I know, I forgot one important point. He said to me, and you can get initiated by Srila Prabhupada in Vrindavan, in the land of Krishna. And I thought, there's no question of refusing. So we drove there, of course it's a challenging journey through so many different challenges. Then we got to Vrindavan, and Srila Prabhupada had left. He'd gone to Mayapur. So I was disappointed. And then the devotee that had told me this, he'd flown. He didn't drive. He'd flown to Delhi and just gone to Vrindavan. He said, no. But even better than accepting initiation from Srila Prabhupada in Vrindavan would be to accept initiation from Prabhupada in Mayapur, the place of Lord Chaitanya. So I thought, yeah, that's true. You know, Lord Chaitanya is the one that brought the chanting of Hare Krishna. That would be even more ecstatic. So we drove across from Vrindavan down the Grand Trunk Road across to Calcutta. And then lots of devotees get in and we all started on our way to Mayapur. And then one of the buses, not the bus I was in because I was looking after it, one of the other buses stopped working. So they said, hey, Bhakta Bozo, your job is to fix the bus. So I had to get out of my bus and go and saw, oh, there's a problem here. And all the other devotees got on the other bus and left. And then I realized, I don't know where Mayapur is. And I have a bus to fix. So I fixed the bus and I'm driving thinking, how am I going to get to Mayapur when I've never been there and I don't know how to get there? And I just yelled out the window to anybody that I saw, Mayapur! And they went, oh, this way, that way. And eventually I ended up in Mayapur. Incredibly. I mean, it's super soul by Krishna's mercy. I ended up there. And I thought, I was very oily and greasy. And I thought, okay, before I get initiated from Srila Prabhupada, I should clean up a bit. So I took a shower, put tilak on, and I went into the temple room. And Srila Prabhupada just finished the initiation. And he was just standing up, and all the devotees were sitting around, the bananas in the fire. But I saw Srila Prabhupada for the first time, and I understood, this is my spiritual master. So then we went on Sankirtan, going around for months and months and months, doing book distribution, chanting every day. And eventually we came back to Vrindavan, and the devotee who said I was going to get initiated in Vrindavan and in Mayapur, he came to me and said, why aren't you surrendering to Srila Prabhupada? Why haven't you taken initiation? In those days, Srila Prabhupada was very kind, and that sometimes devotees would come even for a very short period of time. I met one lady, I was looking for a place to go on holiday, and I asked the devotees, do we know anybody in that area? They said, oh, there's one lady that's been asking for books. So I, driving around, I looked and I saw through the window, there was some Srimad Bhagavatam, so I thought, oh, this is the lady, knocked on the door. I said, could we put up our tent up in your garden? She said, oh, that'd be very nice, Hare Krishna. And the next day I said to her, so what's your name? And she told me her spiritual name. And I said, how did you come to Krishna consciousness? She said, oh, I was visiting London. I was expecting a baby, visiting London. And a devotee came up and gave me an invitation to prasadam at the temple. So I thought, oh, that's very nice. So she came to the temple and they said, oh, Srila Prabhupada's here. Would you like to get initiated? And she thought, that's like a bonus. You get prasadam and you get initiation. It's like the extra thing that you could get while you were there. So she said, oh, okay, that sounds nice. So she sat down and Prabhupada chanted on beads and gave it to her and gave her a spiritual name. And then she left and had a baby. And many years later she thought, what did that actually mean? Maybe I should find out a little bit more about what that means. So she wrote to the temple and said, can you send me a book about something about Krishna? I need to learn about Krishna. My name is such and such a Devi Dasi. So the day, just by chance, Srila Prabhupada was so kind that he initiated her on the spot. So here am I, a year later, and the devotees saying, what's wrong with you, basically? Why don't you take initiation from Srila Prabhupada? You're a rascal. It's true, I know it's true, but they were accusing me. Why you're not surrendering? And I was like, Prabhupada, I'm trying. I'm really trying. And he was looking at me, I don't trust you. Anyway, so we were in Vrindavan, and then suddenly one devotee came to me and he said, Prabhupada wants to see you. And I thought, that devotee's gone to Srila Prabhupada and said, this boy's a rascal. So I was very concerned. And I went to see Srila Prabhupada, and I walked in the room, in his room in Vrindavan. Who's been to Vrindavan? Okay, so Prabhupada's little house there by the Tulsi garden. So I walked in, there's a little entranceway, and I walked into the room, opened the door, knocked on the door, walked in, and Prabhupada was sitting behind his desk, and the devotee was there as well. I thought, oh, Krishna. And Prabhupada, as I walked through the door, he said, "Your name is Ravi Das." And I was stunned. I just stood there, mouth open. And the other devotee said, "You should pay your obeisances, Prabhu." So I paid my obeisances and I sat up. And Srila Prabhupada was there and he looked at me and I looked at him and he said, no, I said, the first thing I said to Srila Prabhupada, I said, "Is that it?" What's that in French? Is that it? How do you say that?
C'est tout? C'est tout?
C'est tout.
C'est tout? C'est tout? That's all?
Prabhupada could see that I was very, I didn't know what was going on. And he said to me, "What more do you want?" And I sat there thinking, I've become initiated by my spiritual master. What more could I possibly want? And I thought for a little while. I said, "Srila Prabhupada, I've seen that other devotees, when they got initiation, they had a fire yagya. There was like a thing that they did, a process." And Prabhupada said, "That is mere formality. Just a formality. It's not the banana in the fire. That's not the initiation." He said, "Initiation takes place here, in the heart. That's the link that we have. The Srila Prabhupada promises to rescue us from the material world." That's an inconceivable thing. So that was my initiation of Srila Prabhupada. Although now when I look back on it, the first time I met Srila Prabhupada, I accepted him. Srila Prabhupada also said that about Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. It took many years before Prabhupada formally accepted initiation. But he said the first time I met him, I thought, here is a person who's qualified to give the message of Lord Chaitanya, and I accepted him as my spiritual guide. So this is the wonderful experience that we've had with Srila Prabhupada. Of course, what did we know? I mean, I didn't know. I'd never. Maybe I had. I think we were starting to sing the Samsara prayers at that time, and understanding what are the qualities. But what a genius thing that actually the first thing that you sing in the morning is the qualities of the person. That they're so happy when we take prasadam, that 4 kinds of prasadam, licked, chewed, drunk and sucked. So, and all the wonderful things that are there in Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's verse, that they're assisting the gopis. It's just a wonderful revelation of the person that you should look for to hand. It's the most important relationship that you have. It's an eternal relationship. Our movement is about instruction, how we extricate ourselves and become pure servants of Krishna. That's what we're waiting to hear. And Jaiva Dharma explains that a devotee should spend a year with the person that inspires them in Krishna consciousness. And the person looks to see your qualification and you look. Because we've got Guru Sadhu Shastra, we've got this incredible system of checks and balances. Yeah. So if someone says something that's not in accordance with Shastra, okay, well, that's not correct. If we're trying to understand something, Shastra of course is perfect, but if we read something that we can't understand, we need someone to explain it. We were talking about the Vedas, how to unpack even this, what do they say? The easily understandable way is very challenging for us to understand how we can get back to Krishna. So we need to embrace that. We talk about surrender, and that's a very difficult concept. But surrender, Srila Prabhupada explains, is just willing to try. That's it. It's not some esoteric thing, not difficult. But when Srila Prabhupada says, can you do this? Then immediately you try and do it and see the result. Very briefly, I told you we went around we drove the buses, the devotees on the bus. It was very early, in the early 70s, and we were very naive, and very quickly they all got a big variety of diseases, different things that they caught in India, and most of them left, and eventually I ended up with the bus, driving the bus. And then I was thinking, there's no devotees, it's just me and the bus. So what am I going to do? So again, I went to Srila Prabhupada and I said, Prabhupada, I've got this bus, because English people didn't need visas to go to India, you could just go there and stay. So Prabhupada said, you don't need the bus. It's not that to become Krishna consciousness, you need a bus. Bus is not required. He said, actually, you have everything, and that applies to all of us. We have everything we need to become Krishna conscious. That's it. We got tongue, we got ears, we got instructions. So I went and got rid of the bus and came back, and then I was asking Srila Prabhupada, what service will I perform now? And because we've been driving around in this luxurious bus, he said brahmacharis and sannyasis traditionally they walk from place to place. So Prabhupada wanted to establish this padayatra. Pada means foot, yatra means to travel. So he established, he said, so just off you go, walking and chanting. That's it. Simple, simple. But then he gave some instructions which really, really scared me. He said, Vaishnavas do not travel with grains. That means you simply go. You walk, and he said, you come to a place where there are people, you chant, you go round. I don't know if you've seen, Prabhupada there's a piece of cloth.
Madhukari? Yes,
and they use the cloth, and they hold it out, and they go from house to house, and the householders throw some vegetable, whatever they got in the cloth. Prabhupada said, you collect, you go house to house, you collect some food, you cook the food, you offer the food, and then you distribute the prasadam, take a little prasadam, and then you go on. 100% dependent on Krishna, not worrying about anything. So I was very concerned, and I expressed my concerns, and Prabhupada was very kind and gentle to me. He could see that I was worried. I thought, you're a pure devotee, Krishna's looking after you very nicely. I'm a rascal. Maybe he won't look after me quite as nicely as he looks after you. So I was very worried about that. Prabhupada said, don't worry. He said, we'll meet in Kumbh Mela. So just try it. Just give it a try. That's faith. Having the faith in the Spirit. How do we build faith? By putting into practice the guidance that we get and see if it works. So Prabhupada said, just try. We'll meet in Kumbh Mela. Give it a try and see what you like. So somehow or other, there's a long story about how we got there, but eventually we got to Kumbh Mela, and Prabhupada immediately replied, so, how is it? And I said, Prabhupada, it's incredible. These people are so generous, they're so happy, they're always trying to what to speak of travelling on. They go, no, you should stay. Please stay. We want you to stay. We'll give you a place to stay. You can do kirtan. We're like, we have to go. So actually, initially, Prabhupada said, and asked, because we had books, we had deities, we'd ask the people, can you take us to the next village? We were just walking. So carrying all this stuff was difficult, doing kirtan. And they said, yes, we will definitely take you. Maybe we'll take you next autumn. We're due to go to the next village, 6 months. And you stay here, do kirtan, we'll be very happy. We were like, no, we were thinking about tomorrow. We weren't thinking to wait for 6 months. So then, this is a very short pastime, we decided we need our own transport. So we got rid of the bus. So what transport would we use? What are they using in the villages? Not going to attract any attention. When we go to some place in the bus, people would come and say, oh, it's a very nice bus. Where'd you get the bus? We're not the International Society for Bus Consciousness. So exactly, we thought everyone's got a bullock cart. If we turn up with a bullock cart, no one's going to say, oh, nice bullock. I mean, everyone's got a bullock. That's there. So I was deputed. We sat down and thought, okay, where are we going to get the money? We had no money. I didn't have money to start with, and I still didn't have money then. So then we said, okay, well, we can go and ask Srila Prabhupada if he'll lend us the money, which is a brave thing to do. So we went back and I had a letter, and I delivered the letter to Srila Prabhupada, and he said, come and see me tomorrow morning. And Srila Prabhupada's method often was to give you books. He said, here's some books from BBT, you distribute the books, you can keep some of the money, buy your bullock cart, and then, that will work for you, and then pay back the BBT. And I knew that we could not make money in the villages selling books. So I had to disagree with Srila Prabhupada. Because sometimes we think, oh, Srila Prabhupada's Uttama Adhikari, he knows everything, which of course is true. Sometimes it's incredible what he did know. But you have to be honest. When Krishna says surrender, it doesn't only mean surrender the good bits. He means it's the whole thing. All of our faults, everything we surrender to Krishna. All our incapacities we surrender. So I said to Srila Prabhupada, that will not work. And Prabhupada said, why not? I said, because in the villages they're not using money. They are exchanging. So someone grows some wheat, and then he exchanges that for some potatoes, and someone gets some oil, and eventually they cooperate with what they grow so that everyone gets what they need. So Srila Prabhupada said, that is correct. He said, so I will lend you 5,000 rupees. How much is that in euros? I don't know. Like 50 euros, which was an inconceivable amount of money at that particular time. He said, and I'll give it to you from my personal account. So he got out his checkbook and he signed the check, 5,000 rupees. And then he said to me, I've been thinking, it's almost finished, the Prashadam, I'll finish with this. I've been reading Krishna book, and when Krishna goes, of course, with his family, because they were concerned from Mathura on the other side, when they went there to Vrindavan, they had a very beautiful cart, and there's a picture of Krishna and his family, Nanda Baba and Yashoda Mai, on the cart with one bullock and big wooden wheels. And I thought, that's all we need, one bullock. We can keep the deities, we can keep our things, and that will go along. So I was thinking this in my mind, I've got this money now, I'm going to go and get this cart, this my dream cart. And then before I left her, I said, don't get a cart with wooden wheels. I hadn't mentioned it, that was my plan. But of course Krishna informed Prabhupada, this was my plan. He said, get one with rubber wheels. And I was like, why should I, Prabhupada? He said, because there's no taxation on vehicles with rubber wheels. Don't ask me how Prabhupada knew about road taxation and rubber wheels. And then I realized, okay, again, following the instruction. So then when I got the bullocks in the cart, and then we went off to Mayapur and then down to Jagannath Puri. And that's a story for another time. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
All the rest of Srila Prabhupada. Jai. Manda Sumanda Matayo.
Thank you. Je veux que le docteur.